So I owe someone in the community a very deep and heartfelt apology for something that I said on stream a couple days ago. Wednesday stream, I was working on Busk Husker's AK-12, and somehow we got onto the subject of my different username, and I said some very hurtful things about my different username, and I ultimately got in touch with him. And by got in touch with him, I mean he sent me a message on Twitter, and he asked me to talk to him about what was going on. And I found that to be very professional, so I sent a message back, and from there we've discussed what I said on stream, and I know now from the information that he provided that I said some things on stream that were blatantly wrong and incorrect about my different username. So this video is going to be dedicated to wronging or fixing the wrong that I committed, because I in fact committed a wrong. I am in the wrong here. This is all me and not my different username. So before I sat down and I talked to him about what I had said, I needed to make sure I knew exactly what I said for the most part. I needed to know all the points that I went through and everything that I had talked about on stream. I spent about 45 minutes in total watching my stream and typing as I was talking on stream. So I'm going to preface the video by reading aloud what's on the screen right now, which is a transcription of what I said on stream, so that for those of you who haven't watched stream or anything like that, you get a chance to hear what I said, and you can hear how blatantly wrong I was, because I was really wrong with pretty much all of these points that I brought up in stream. So here we go. The best way to put it, Jim, is that at a certain point you're going to have overlap no matter what, because that's just the nature of the community. There is inevitably no way around that. And this is especially ironic that I said this to preface the whole rant that I talked about, because the main point I brought up in the rant is that my different username was copying Caro and other builders in the community. Caro, for those of you who don't know, is Extreme Lego Guns. I'm going to get into his responses later, but I just wanted to point that out because that is irony at its finest, and I think that's why I owe my different username such a heartfelt apology, because I even the very first things out of my mouth on this subject are literally exactly what happened, and that's kind of shameful on my part that I would just completely gloss over how it could have been coincidence. So we're going to continue on. See, I'm about to say some stuff on stream we shouldn't say. They say so many times that we copy him, but if you take a look at his guns and then compare them to our guns, it's quite obvious he copies us in the community, and not even in a good way, because he doesn't give credit for it. If it was a good way, he would give credit for it, and all of us would be able to grow and prosper as the community we are. I titled the stream Busk Husker's AK-12 building instead of... I paused here in stream. I'm trying to shift the focus from my AK-12 to Busk Husker's AK-12 as opposed to whatever else. Again, all these, the 3 dots that you're seeing are pauses in stream. Like the best example I can think of, let me see if I can find it. UMP was one I was going for. That video was taken down, wasn't it? I think it was. I think the stock mech is the one thing that I can think of the most in terms of what's stolen, because it looks almost exactly like Caro's stock, Extreme Lego Guns mecha, except there is no credit given to Caro, which is my biggest problem. If credit was given where credit was due, I would have no problem, wouldn't be on this at all, and there wouldn't be a problem. Credit is due where credit is due. I think that's why my different username isn't subbed to me anymore too, because I've talked about him like this before. The best way to put it is I checked who was subbed to me a while ago, and I believe it was right after the contest he was subbed to me. And then I checked a few months later when something else was happened, when I got reminded of it again, and then he was no longer subbed to me, which is why I'm sitting here like, wait, what? That doesn't make any sense to me why you would sub to me and then unsub to me. Was it a pity sub where you were showing other people that you were subbing to others? Like, what's going on? That's basically what I was on about. So he's no longer subbed to me. At this point, it comes down to just he is fed up with me vocalizing my complaints about him in the community stealing people's concepts and designs and the such to use as his own without giving credit, because it happens a lot more than what it should. The majority of us have been open about it, not even liking his builds, but like, hey, I think you can improve by doing this. And by that statement, not even liking his builds, but like, hey, I'm basically saying it's not that we don't like his builds, but what we're trying to say is you can improve by doing X thing. So to continue, then to go on about how he can improve. I think even that has turned him off from subbing to us. I did that to his FNH Mark 20 SSR and called him out. It didn't make sense why he would make a working magazine release and not even make it work with the magazine, because the magazine was so much friction that you can just throw the magazine in, slap it, and then get it done. The point is to be accurate to the real-life model, and it blows my mind sometimes. Like, bruh, you had the working features and functions of the model, but you disabled them for some reason. I just don't. I think it comes down to he doesn't know how to deal with criticism. Even I don't take criticism in the best of ways. I'm not going to point fingers without addressing my own flaws. Even I sometimes don't take criticism the best of ways. Criticism with the CUDA. I got really hot about criticism for the CUDA, like just small things with the CUDA too. Not even the largest of things. Some people will be like, this could be better on the CUDA, and I'll be like, bitch, go fuck yourself, and things like that. It could be just knowing how to deal with criticism. It might not be the best of excuses, but that might be where it is at, where he is at. It's possible, it's frustrating. I guess will be a good word, because as a YouTuber, we are supposed to be good at dealing with criticism. We are supposed to be level-headed and able to talk to the people about those criticisms. Like, hey, yeah, maybe the best way to put it is the colors on the CUDA are not available from LEGO, but we could always be more professional about how we answer instead of dealing with the ways we deal with it. That could be a problem. But if you're smart, to preface this section, Jim had posted that he might have been afraid of walking outside with his guns in fear of getting shot. So that's the preface to this section. That could be a problem, but if you're smart about how you present yourself, sometimes it blows my mind what he does. If he was worried about being shot for a gun that is too realistic, like we hear in the news all the time, and it does happen all the time, he wouldn't go around parading himself in public like he has, because there are plenty of videos of him out in the public with the gun he is going to show in the video and stuff. I can think of pretty much all his videos that have to do with DayZ in particular, right? There are so many times where he is out in public, with the gun in that video, that you're kind of just like, bro, what are you doing? Like, I have guns all over my room, and by far the most realistic gun I have is the Scar color because of its color scheme. And then I go down the list of all the guns. Even then, I don't go around to parade myself in public with him to get shot. I'm not saying I'm smart, but I'm not stupid, as opposed to him. He's walking around with his AUG video was out in the desert when he had his AUG. His M4 video he did out in the sewers or wherever he was, which was in a public place. Not many people were probably out there, but it could end up with you getting shot. What else? His UMP45 video, which was deleted for some reason, he also did in public. At one point, he was driving down the street with his car door open, shooting out the back, which is pretty dumb, I guess. I'm going to use your words, because Jim had posted that. It's pretty dumb. It's not the best of things to be doing in broad daylight down the street in front of the neighbors. So it's like, if he was worried about getting shot for a gun that is too realistic, I could see why, but he does things where it's obvious he's not, as opposed to that's the only thing he could get shot for. He gets shot dead taking it outside, hear it in the news, so on and so forth. But then, like, I remember now, because he posted it to the Q&A session, his STG-44 had a working magazine release. I remember now is going back to why he posted, or why he disabled the magazine release. His STG-44 had a working magazine release, but he disabled it because he did not like how it felt, and he did not like pressing it each and every time he was taking out the magazine. But like, that's how the gun is supposed to work. That's how it works in real life. And as a gun builder, you should be striving to get the most realistic features in the gun. That's why I'm trying to get this small subtle detail in here. I went out of my way to design all of this as a mismatch of parts, and it's not even connected to anything. Oh, it is. I don't know how it is, but it is, and the whole point is to go out of your way to make it as realistic as possible. And Busk Husker went out of his way to make a 5-stud wide receiver. This AK-12 from my different username is from 2013, but take a look at this. This receiver is 4 studs wide, 4-stud wide receiver, 1, 2, 3 stud, 4 stud, because I was counting the studs, How did the stock fold? It doesn't even fold fully because the fire selector is sticking out the side of the gun on his side. Magazine release does not exist, and the AKs are the easiest, and this is only one of the two on the on the AK-12. How does the stock fold? Basic pin system. He even had to make a cut on the stock so that the stock could fold all the way. It's just an absolute mess of an AK-12 compared to this one. And by that time, I had switched over to the Future Yeti video, and that's the one I was comparing it to. Future Yeti went out of his way to make a good model. His magazine is one of the best magazines I've ever seen, and it could make it. If I could make it in LDD, I would. LDD, I could. I would. Let's talk about the UMP45 video and why he deleted it. He posted to Facebook a little while ago about why he took it down because people were criticizing how he did not show the gun off as fully as he should have compared to last videos. Okay, people were upset they didn't get to see the gun fully, so he took it down because he was getting a lot of hate for that video. That isn't a good way to deal with criticism. I understand you guys don't like how I handled this video, but I've destroyed the gun and we won't be wielding it. I'm sorry. We will do better next time, is how it should have been dealt with instead of taking the video down, because now people have to go to his Facebook or Twitter page to see his model, and that isn't the best of ways to demonstrate that. And Jim said something about trying to teach him a lesson, and I ran with it, and I should not have ran with it because ultimately the person who learned the lesson was me. We're trying to teach him a lesson. We're trying to teach him to improve by looking at other people's creations and put forth the effort to give credit where credit is due, Caro in particular. He puts in so much effort, probably the most effort in the community, which is a good thing because the payoff is so well. At this point, all realistic guns he makes have the most realistic function seen, which is impressive. The goal is there is more to the community to steal from the community and take it as is. Another thing that hurts me is that he doesn't talk to most of us in the community, and those that he does talk to is very limited from what I understand. This we don't really need to go over. This we don't really need to go over. This is stuff that I've said, so if you want to read it, you can take a pause here and read through it. I talked to him about things. Basically, what I talked to him about is what I want to go over. I didn't talk to him about most of this. This is other stuff that I said, but the main points were just above. And then we're going to go with this right here, right? Because I was completely wrong with this statement. I said, he has no platform to defend himself right now, and I don't want to be the person who defends himself, so I would gladly have him on stream or something to talk to him about this to defend himself, to give him a position to defend himself. But it will never happen because I'm a small guy with 900 subs compared to his 311,000 subs. That's how many subs he has compared to me with only about 1,000 and a few others in the community that have a little over 1,000. Despite the fact that I said that, my different username was willing to make the first contact on Twitter in private messages and ask for a spot to defend himself, basically. I said that he would never do it, and he did it, and he proved that point wrong on my part, and that was shameful that I said that in the first place, because that is a straight ad hominem logical fallacy, and I've gone through so many classes that have taught me not to do that, and I did it right there, and that is on me, and I need to apologize for that part too, because despite the fact that I said he wasn't going to do it, he did it, and that makes him a bigger man than me. This part right here is just slightly important. It's not the most important. So to get out of this one is basically right here. He thinks too simply. There is more to a Lego system than basic brick building. There is so much to the Lego system that you could really change a whole bunch of what you're doing simply by using and learning other parts in the system. This part right here is wrong, but we're going to get into that with what he talked about next. So, one moment, please. with permission. Oh crap, my phone screen turned off and it won't turn back on. All right, so as I talk, I'll restart my phone so I can prove that this is happening. This is in fact a thing, and that you guys aren't gonna think I'm faking this or anything like that. I don't think any of you all will think that I'm faking this, but I want to make it very clear that this is a true story, that this has happened, and what I'm about to say is the physical conversation. I need to show everything that happened. I asked my different username for permission to use our conversation word for word on stream. I asked him if there was anything he wanted me to omit. I will omit it. If there's anything he would like me to not say, I won't say it. I gave him the option of also just not allowing me to use any of the conversation at all, and I just have to do it hearsay. And being completely transparent, he said it was okay to use everything on stream. So I just want to open up my Twitter account and show that this has happened. This is his Twitter account, and that's me talking to him. So that's happened. That happened tonight, right before I made this video, and it came out to, it amounted to, I want to make this video now because it's better out tonight as correction as opposed to sometime much later from now. So I'm gonna read the Twitter conversation that me and my different username had word for word, so that you guys can understand that he came to me in a much more civil manner than I did come to him. I came out on stream, I blasted him. He was not even in chat at the time. I believe he came to chat like right at the end of stream. I don't know. I can't remember. I blasted him on stream. I said all these false things about him that, to be completely honest, is defamation. I could probably get sued for defamation, but instead of blasting me on Twitter with a video or anything like that, he sent me a private DM, even trying to clarify that he wasn't being hostile or anything. He just wanted to talk to figure out what was going on because I had made such false claims against him. And because of that, I think my different username comes out as the bigger man in this situation, and it's my choice in the community or in this situation that I need to apologize for this. And he goes on to say, I didn't even need to apologize. He said, I don't think you should make a video about it. It's all cool. You apologized in the DMs, so we're chill, man. And I was like, no, I think this needs to go on public record because there's more to it than just me apologizing. This is, the way you dealt with this was so better than the way that I had dealt with this, that this is a lesson that a lot of people can learn from, because this is something that I'm going to learn from, because I did something that I should not have done on stream, that I should have known better. I've been on this planet for 2 decades, and I should know better than to just out of nowhere blast someone without them being able to defend themselves and just make wild assumptions that could really hurt their character and defame their reputation. So we're going to get into the conversation now. It's going to work kind of like how Twitter works. Kyle's will be in the white, and then my responses will be highlighted in blue, because that's how Twitter works. Twitter has your responses highlighted in blue, and then their responses have a white background. So this is the very first Twitter message he's ever sent me, and then this is the conversation afterwards. Okay, man, I just saw your stream earlier. Didn't want to say anything in stream because I don't want to seem hostile or anything. Because I was live streaming, he sent me a message on stream saying, hey man, I need you to check your Twitter. And he didn't even address it on stream in front of the public, which I think is very professional of him. That was an excellent way to handle that, and I can definitely learn from that. I saw the stream because I'm subbed, actually, lol. Sometimes YouTube doesn't keep track of the subs, which is important because I said he unsubbed from me, which is not true because YouTube doesn't keep track of the subs. So he's been subbed to me the whole time, I just haven't realized it. And YouTube has has lied to me, which, to be completely honest, I could see it. Now that Kyle says it, it makes sense because YouTube has had such a problem with their unsub glitch and the notification is not going through that I could see it. I was wrong in saying that he didn't want to sub to me or talk to me or be in streams or comment on any of my videos because of him not being subbed to me, because he was subbed to me. So going on. But after the stuff you said on there, I think I may need to talk about these certain issues that were mentioned in the stream. Some things that need to be cleared up so badly. You can see here he's trying to make it. He's approaching the situation so that he's stating his position that things need to be clarified, and he is also stating that he's not doing this hostilely, because it's hard to convey voice between text messages. You can't tell if the conversation is truly meant to be hostile or if it's supposed to be a calm conversation back and forth and a discussion between what I got wrong and how he is going to correct it, which will come up. So I was live streaming at the time when I responded, but what I said was 10-4, after stream I'll keep in touch with you. He said, okay, thank you. All right, I'm basically done for the night. Kind of got sick because at the time my stomach was upset. My stomach is still a little upset, but it's gotten less than I had to go to the bathroom. That was it. I said, hit me, man. I'm open to your side of it. I never really gave you a position to defend yourself, and I made some hefty claims. In that tweet, I made a mistake between 2 words with a period, and that my phone auto-linked that to some random website. So he responded by, what is that? I can't open it. And I explained, sometimes my thumb presses the period instead of the space key. There should be a space there. I said, well, okay. So what was up with the accusations from that one stream? And he's talking about the AK-12 stream. Frustration is the best way to put it. I never gave you a place to stand to defend yourself and threw it out there, but the biggest frustration is possible copying of community mech designs without proper credit. I may have missed the credit, or you could have come up with your design on your own. You ultimately know what happened, so I'll ask, what happened? Basically, what he wanted to do was clarify. So I had misconceptions, I was misguided, I made up some false assumptions about what he was doing, and he wanted to clarify me. He didn't attack me, didn't yell at me, he very calmly just wanted to know what was up with the questions or what was up with the accusations on stream and how he could clarify. So we continue on. Remember, everything in white is my different username, everything in blue is me. Yeah, I don't know where that assumption of stealing came from. You mentioned something about my UMP45 and some other builder I've never heard of before. So I said Caro. Caro is the real name of Extreme Guns, which is, not everyone knows that, so I can understand why he never heard of them ago. So I said Extreme Guns. His stock mech looks almost exactly like yours. He said, okay, let me check out his gun real quick. So I sent him the UMP45 link from Caro's channel. He said, okay, now I see the situation here. That totally makes sense to call me out on that. It looks so similar, but I'll be honest, that was the first time I've ever seen that gun. So the main point that I had was, in terms of frustrations with my different username, Kyle, was that to me, it seemed like he had stolen Caro's UMP45 mechanism for the side folding stock. Ultimately, that has been proven to be not true. My different username came up with his own design for that, according to him. You can see here. That's what he said, and my different username has no reason to lie about this, so I'm going to trust him on this, and I should trust him on this because I just made an assumption and he's clarifying that it was his own design, it wasn't someone else's design, and that was the first time he'd ever actually looked at Caro's UMP45. So I'm listening to stream, typing everything I said to hit point by point. You didn't copy anyone. Coincidence is basically what I'm chalking that up to, because that's what it turned into. And that's the irony, because I said at the beginning of the stream, way up at the top, that there would be ultimate overlap in the community. And this is the biggest irony in all of my life, probably, because I said that there would be overlap in the community and then blamed my different username for taking someone's mech design, when there was simply overlap in the community that I'd already talked about at the beginning of the stream. So I said, I'll move on from that. You've already told me YouTube incorrectly displayed my subs and that you were already subbed to me. That is also a moot point now. So that point in that rant is gone. So the next point I threw out is, why make a working magazine release if it doesn't lock the magazine in? I've heard the answer in the videos you've made, but for the sake of clarification, can you answer that as well? So just to clarify even further, even though it's in the videos where he's talked about it, I just asked for more clarification. Yeah, so when I made the SturmGewehr, I had many problems with the mag because of the fact that it had a lot of friction when I slid it into the gun. I didn't really know why. I remember being able to hold it from the magazine upside down and barely be able to move. With the addition of the mag catch, just made it to the point where it made sense not to use it, so I could easily reload the weapon for when I used to fake shoot the guns in my vids. Same thing kind of applies to the SCAR 20, but not even as remotely as bad. I did not even think about this from his perspective. When he used to do the fake shooting in his videos, I don't believe he does that anymore, but when he used to do it, he would grab the mag and then reload it a couple times. I didn't even think about it, but with the magazine release in the way that it could actually make the process slower and the fluid motion on camera not as fluid. And I didn't even think about that. So from an editing perspective, it actually would make sense to have a working magazine release that doesn't interlock with the actual magazine itself. So on video, you can grab the mag, strip it out, and nice fluid motion, and you don't have to get caught up in fumbling with the magazine release or pulling out the magazine too quick before it detaches from the release, breaking the magazine or the release or the receiver or anything like that. So that actually makes sense to me now that he explained it and clarified. Said, all right, how do you feel you take criticism? I'd say very well. You DM'd me about this as opposed to blowing up in a video about it like I did, but it's your time to talk, so go ahead. You have the floor, basically, is what I'm trying to get at. Yeah, I think criticism is great, and I actually remember when you guys said that I built too simply, and I honestly do believe that too. Part of why this is such a civil conversation is because my different username came to the table, and instead of clarifying all the points, he also qualified with the points. Qualified means you disagree and agree. So he's actually, despite the fact that I've said so many hurtful things about him, he's agreed that he builds too simply, and further on he thinks about going in using more complicated designs to work on upgrading them. And that, to me, is the first step in watching someone grow in a way that's going to be really, really awesome for the community, because there's going to be some guns that come out of this that are probably going to be some of the best guns in the community, because if he continues to grow and applies what he's learning with the brick system or his techniques that he's using, anything like that, it's going to be really impressive to see what happens. Fair enough. Another one of my claims is that I don't see much improvement, but doing research into this further, I realized you are improving, but you're doing it by one mech design at a time on a gun. For instance, your Mark 20 and L85 have bolt catch designs. The PPSH-41, MP5, Mark 20, AK-47, and STG-44 have working magazine releases. What I'm trying to get at, are you flushing out the problems in advance and then going to incorporate all the designs in future builds? This question is a little bit confusing. It was horribly worded on my part, but what I'm trying to say is, are you forming prototype mechs that you're using in guns that you're all going to bring together in one ultimate gun, kind of like how my Master Edition guns work? Says, I'm not sure I really understand the question, which is understandable because that question was really poorly worded. So it's like, for future gun builds, for instance, in M4, will you incorporate features you have on guns? Now a magazine release in bolt catch. He said, unless I can get the mag to follow easily like real weapons do, I'm not sure I will actually. I gave him a little bit of advice here. Said building the magazine sideways using brackets, plates, or Technic pieces is a possible way of doing that. The friction is coming from micro differences in brick clearance, so they scrape by one another, causing friction. Technic and other forms of building that are not perfectly flush in the magwell will reduce the friction and allow them to drop easier. It's also possible to expand the magwell using plate designs to keep a traditionally built magazine, but reduce the friction to rely on the magazine release. to continue things I said on stream, to get back to the other points, are you ever worried that stepping out into the public with your models could result in bodily harm? He said, oh, I see. I'll look into that and see if I could set something up. As far as stepping outside with the guns, it's really dangerous, but I do it with a lot of caution. So he's acknowledged that he's putting himself in harm's way because people can misconstrue that as a real weapon. But he's also acknowledged that he does it with precautions. And because of that, I think I can respect him a little bit more, because on stream, I just blatantly threw out there, oh, whatever. He doesn't care about taking his guns out in the public. He just doesn't care what I'll, but that's been proven to be untrue. He does care, and he actually takes precautions. So you understand the risk and have already taken precautions. Okay. Have you considered working heavily in odd number stud links, for instance, a 5-stud wide receiver or 3-stud wide magazine? Said, I guess it really depends on the gun. I know most guns realistically have 3-stud wide magazines, and it really makes no sense to make a 2-stud wide magazine unless it's like a pistol. But most of the time, I really think magwell should be really 5 studs wide. I don't really think magwell should be really 5 studs wide. So I cut up on that because I noticed that was a slight little point that I could learn from, because the majority of the rifles and stuff that I make have 5-stud wide magwells. Though I could start using plate techniques to form 4-stud wide magwells that fit 3-stud wide magazines. So I picked up on that because that, to me, just clicked with me. He says, well, yeah, well, or I asked another question after this. I said, all right, I can see why. Last point of clarification, are you attempting to branch out and communicate with the community slowly, or is life or other reasons preventing you from doing so? It's completely understandable either way. He said, yeah, well, I've been trying my best to keep with the community, but sometimes I'm not able to just join group chats all the time, really. I'll be honest, though, do you even want me to be in this thing? Because it sounds like you guys don't really like me all that much. And of course, I responded. I say, life's busy, I got you. Hey, man, I owe you a deep and heartfelt apology. I made a lot of claims that were blatantly false and wrong, and I made an ass of myself. And I truly did. That is the truth. We're actually friendlier than you think. My little outburst is the first time I've ever really done something like this or that. The group chat is one of the best places to be for me, to be honest. For me, this is my experience. I get to see what the other builders are trying and add my advice into the ring for anyone that needs help. We also share a lot more pictures than we usually do to social media, and we're pretty open about mech designs and techniques with one another. I'm used for LDD advice all the time. Ultimately, it's your choice if you'd like to do it or not. And there was other conversation after that, but that pertains mostly to basically asking for permission if I could use the text conversation, and he said yes. I also asked about, I told him what I was going to do is make an apology video. Things that I didn't say I was going to do. I'm going to demonetize the AK-12 live stream. So that live stream is going to be demonetized, so I'm no longer making money from that. The second thing I'm going to do is make it an unlisted video. Unlisted videos require a link to view that. That link is going to be in this description in case anyone would like to hear the original conversation as it happened on stream. But I kind of did that for you on this stream by typing out all of it and then just reading it back to you guys in about a 10-15 minute time period, as opposed to stream, which takes about 45 minutes to an hour to get through entirely. And on top of those 45 minutes to an hour, there's AK-12 work and other bits of advice that are cut in between those. So that's two things that I'm going to do right there. I'm going to demonetize the stream, and then I'm going to make it an unlisted video, put the link into this description. And I just want to make it very clear that the things I said on that stream and the things that I said in this were very hurtful and very false. And if I had simply taken the time to message my different username, he's pretty open about talking with me if I have questions. If I had just taken that time to send him a message and ask him about all of these different things, this would have never happened. And I've definitely learned from this that there are better ways to deal with any presumptions that I'm making. So there's a phrase that says, assuming makes an ass out of you and me. A-S-S-U-M-E is how you spell assume. So ass, you, and me. So assuming makes an ass out of you and me. Kyle didn't make an ass out of himself at all, but that catchphrase really comes to bite me in the ass because I assumed almost everything in this video. I assumed that he didn't like me because I was vocalizing my opinions about him. I assumed he wasn't subbed to me. I assumed he just copied people's builds, which is not the case at all. And then even like the first thing that I say is that there's overlap in the community and that it is inevitable, no way around that. Which is just, I even admitted it on stream, and that's just, I can't, I'm ashamed is the best way to put it. And I'm embarrassed that in my 20 years of walking this earth, I could let this happen. So I just want to say it one more time. I'm sorry, my different username. I owe you a heartfelt apology for all of this. And I feel as if this video is the justification of the apology. This is where it's going to be immortalized forever. Okay, sorry, I just got a real bad crick in my neck. That's really, I really can't film all this over again. It's like a 45-minute long video. This is the immortalization of the apology video, and I really want this to go out. This is my choice, my different username. He even told me I didn't have to make a video. I want to make a video so that I can put all of what happened into the stream, and I can put all of his conversation with me, because it was ultimately a conversation. It was not a argument back and forth. He ultimately talked to me very calmly and very professionally, and I can't say that for myself at the beginning of this situation, because this stream is highly unbecoming of me and not professional at all. And just one more time, I'm sorry for everything that came out of this, and I really hope that we can move past this and continue on in the community as builders, which I know we've already done, because we've already said everything that we need to say past that Twitter. So I'm going to stop recording here. This video is going to go up, and yeah, I'll see you guys on the other side.